Hello everyone and welcome to another Starfield video. My name is Brian if you happen to be new around here, and also happy early access launch week for all of us who are a part of that crew. So if you guys are curious, my job here, if I think about this as a job, is to protect you from spoilers. So while I will be live streaming and the live streaming will be spoiler filled, any gameplay footage featured on this channel will just be gameplay footage. I'm going to try to keep it as safe for you guys as possible to continue to cover the Starfield news, especially as we start jumping into mods here in the future. But also welcome in everyone if you happen to be new around here or if you're returning after a little break. We've got almost 70,655 of you guys. We're one off from that magical number. I don't know why I said magical, of you guys who are taking the challenge to become everyday millionaires. We talk a lot about games here, a little bit about life, and it's my hope that I can help encourage you guys to get out of debt and live your best lives possible. But we usually save all of that for the class dismissed section of this videos, as I have I don't know why I struggle saying class dismissed, but it is the morning, so let's go ahead and dive on in. I'm going to open up this week with Paris tweeting this out, fire in the eyes, glasses saying next week. Now I read this and interpret this very positively. You can let me know if you read and interpret this very differently. Will the world be on fire due to the release of Starfield? And that's what we get a lot of on the internet today. The console wars are making there's a very fatiguing sense of where you start to feel like the crazy person for not wanting games to fail. Like, I don't know if anybody out there also feels the way I feel about this, but it does feel like people are going to extreme lengths to really fuel the console wars. And maybe we should just label them the engagement wars, because that's what this all, I think, ends up being about. Nielsen Gaming tweets out, I can't blame him. He has to keep up a reputation. He is the king of BS. In regards to Todd Howard, in this King Crash saying, Todd Howard already caught lying about Starfield. This is Xbox. So the TLDR for all of those out there, this is truly about walk around the planet gate, I guess, if we're gonna name it something. Ultimately, some of y'all could probably come up with a better label or a better term for this latest drama. Now I'm gonna go out and just commit to you guys on this. If you were sold the idea that you could walk around the whole planet and that ends up not being true, because there's still, at least it looks like it's that ends up not being the case, I don't blame you for being frustrated at all. Like, the way you feel, I just want to validate that, because if that's what you were expecting to do, then you have been deceived. There's no other ifs, ands, or ways about it. However, the reason why I don't feel deceived personally is that I wasn't expecting that to happen in the game at all. And it wasn't until Pete Hines tweeted out that you could just walk on Brave Explorer that all of a sudden I think this really kicks up more into high gear. But this is on Bethesda to set these expectations. So if your expectations have been shattered by basically what we've seen leaked with the various different timers, which we'll get more into details about that, there's some conversations I'd love to hear your thoughts on. I'm not gonna throw you under the bus. Like, the way you feel is perfectly fine. Like, if I felt that, if that's something that I was really wanting in this game, then I think I too would probably be frustrated. I don't actually have any intentions of trying to walk around any of the planets completely, and that's where I think kind of we might just differ, and that's perfectly fine for us to have differing opinions. It's the age of the internet. We are not one mind, but we are one soul here at Ginger Prime. Anyway, man, geez Louise, hold up the phone, guys. Fritenga played says, ponies capping for unfinished games that aren't even on PS5. Talking about Ninja tweeting out here, not Ninja Tyler Blevins, but apparently Ninja PS5 PC Gamer says, not a single loading screen or invisible wall in sight, just freedom, to completely roam around endlessly and explore the alien world. This is the kind of immersion I need in my space games. Hashtag Star Citizen. And so I've actually never played Star Citizen. I decided just to buy it out of just absolute curiosity, because it seems like Star Citizen is like a scam or it's an incredible game. And I was like, you know what? I might as well put my money where my mouth is and try it out. I have yet to And I tweeted out this weekend that I might try and playing it, but I ended up spending the whole time with the kids, and that was, I think, that was a better time investment speaking. But it's interesting because of this, is that it will be interesting to see what the impact Starfield has on, when we start to think of the genre of space games going forward. Will we see people gravitate towards Star Citizen who maybe found that their interest in this game wasn't delivered the expectation in this case? Now, the only way we'll find that out is when we all go hands-on over the course of the next couple of weeks. For me, it's going to be later this week. For people who are going to wait till the 6th, obviously they're going to have to wait till then. Snap Blast Play tweets out, Starfield has completely broken PlayStation fans. I've never seen so much anger and jealousy over a single-player game before. This is going to be wild for Xbox fans. And it's interesting because while, like, it's the whole concept of exclusivity, which I don't view Starfield as an exclusive, because guess what? It's on PlayStation, not PlayStation, it's on PC, and then it's on, like xCloud. There's ways, it's on your fridge, it's like you can stream it, things of that nature. Like, there's a lot of ways to play it, so I don't necessarily view it, and I'm all for the exclusive going away. But PlayStation is built off of not just their exclusives, but also excluding games off of the Xbox, and this in and of itself is, Xbox in a way hitting back. I've always felt like they've been a sleeping giant. Phil Spencer has been tweeting out they're going to be releasing a major quarterly game every quarter, like a big game every quarter. And I hope that means that we're going to see more polish. Really, Starfield is going to be kind of a litmus test where people were looking at Redfall. Redfall didn't deliver in terms of the quality. I do hope that they bring that quality up over time. But with Starfield going forward, it's going to be interesting to see, because we still have bigger games to talk about. Elder Scrolls 6, for example, and we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. Now, Peter Ovo says, not confirmed. The timer in the viral leaked video from Starfield could be fake, and Dreamcast Guy and others jumped on it to criticize Starfield. People should please wait for the reviews to be out and the embargo to end before talking about things that they don't know. And then he's referencing a tweet, but let's just bring up what Dreamcast Guy said directly. He says, very interesting to see how Starfield will review tomorrow. The leaked gameplay and empty planets and invisible walls is very different from the trailer footage. I still think that it will get an average Metacritic around 85. Now, Synth Potato is the one saying, I really think Bethesda should have made it clear before launch that you can't do one uninterrupted run around a planet. It's actually really weird that they never mentioned this until it got leaked, and I'm the one of the people that got excited for Starfield for this reason, to be able to run around the planet. And so moving on, let's bring up some comments here from this channel itself. Dragon, we'll just say Dragon. In the screenshot, if the screenshot is 100% true, they misled to an unacceptable degree after the disaster that was Fallout 76, and they needed to be 100% upfront and honest with as much as possible. If they lied about this, something to a small and insignificant, it begs the question, what else did they lie about? And this isn't to say that they are pulling off as an impressive. This is just that they weren't 100% honest about it. And what else were they dishonest about? It's a fair question to ask at this point. And I actually agree. I think these are perfectly fair questions for us to be asking about. But I also then default into expectations are sometimes our worst enemy, because we fill in the gaps with our own imaginations. It's the same thing that happens with any announced MMO. Hey, here's the title of our new MMO, and everybody's like, that's it, that's the perfect MMO, this is going to be the one that saves the genre, and yada yada yada, and then nothing about it. And then the more that you learn about it, typically people are like, wait, that's not the MMO that I was wanting. Something like this, that, or the other thing. It's because we kind of fill in the gaps. Now, for me, Starfield has actually continued to impress the more that we find out about it. But let's continue on with Dragon here saying, however, I'm not inclined to take the screenshot at face value. The source is not reliable. The sheer amount of surrounding the game leads me to wonder how true it is, and the number of people looking at any reason to try and discredit any good game that might have me talking anything about it. And my first instinct is to toss out for another case of that. So the other thing that builds off from this, just, to kind of comment, is that people start kind of trashing Spider-Man, saying, hey, it only takes 10 minutes to run across the city in Spider-Man in 2018. So, Games Breh says, out of curiosity, I ran across the entire Spider-Man map on PS5. Took me about 10 minutes to hit an invisible wall. I came across hella crimes, places of interest on the way too, with hella people everywhere. I know Starfield is going to have many different planets, but sheesh, man. And so what's interesting, obviously, so some of the leak footage is just that accelerated running across the planet, which in this case is barren. There's not a lot going on it. And I think that's personally a little bit I think that's done specifically to rile up the fanboys and the fan base in and of itself because of, the different biomes and things that we have yet to see. So yes, guys, wait for reviews. If you have Game Pass, like I don't know how, even if it ends up being at an 85 Metacritic score, if you're having fun and you didn't, it's a part of your Game Pass subscription, I don't find issue with that. However, again, we know hype, we know all these things and these forces that are being applied to you and me, we get all excited. And, at the end of the day, you got to be responsible with your money and your expectations. Otherwise, you can end up just becoming, bitter, and that's just not fun for anybody. Now, Peter goes on to kind of talk about a few things here. According to sources, Starfield is actually the least buggiest Bethesda game. We've seen that happen over and over and over again. That seems to be a very big narrative. We also hear it from the PC perspective that it's running very, very smooth, which has me excited because that's where I'm primarily going to be playing the game. But also Peter goes on to say, leak and rumor, Starfield has a team of over 500 developers and a budget of over 200 million. So this is significant because then when you start thinking about the marketing, like this is a big game, but just because you have a big team and a big budget doesn't necessarily relate exactly to being a good game. You need leadership in place. You need the visionaries. You need people pushing this product forward. And I think essentially that's one of the things that we're going to see a big difference here, where I think when you start to compare budgets and team sizes, you start to talk about Halo Infinite and how that game struggled all the way really up to season 4, which I've been having a blast with, but it still needs, like you could feel the needs that game still has, but it's at least not where it launched. Big teams, big budget, that just means leadership needs to be on point. And that's what I think I see. Now, marketing all aside, because I've said it, I think I said last time, all marketing is false. And some, marketer was like, hey, that's not true. I was like, and fair point. I would say all marketing is marketing. And so, just know we're all being marketed to right now. That's like, we can't fix it. All I can do is educate you on the subject. But Peter in this case goes on to say that if Starfield is hurting you this much, just imagine what happens with Elder Scrolls 6. And I think essentially with Starfield, if it sets a whole new standard for the games and for Bethesda and Xbox, then going into Elder Scrolls 6, it's going to be a game changer, namely based off of just the idea that everybody's kind of on the fence or concerned. Like the biggest concern comes from Fallout 76, which they continue to support and actually improve. But you could see here with Bethesda and with Starfield that you could say, hey, it's always what's the last thing you did for me? What was the last great thing you did for me is what the thing that people typically remember and pull into their memory. Now, I got one final exciting bit of news. Stephen Ford, if you guys don't follow him on Twitter or X, whatever, says, I have no idea how I pulled this off. I'm creating a tiny live action thing for Starfield. Stephen doing some excellent content work out there. I'm very happy to see him share this information. And so I just wanted to kind of put it here as a nice, fun thing that we can be excited about. People are doing and living their dreams out there in the world. Now, with that, guys, this is Class Dismissed. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Pure Starfield conversation. We're going to be talking about UFOs and aliens. This is what was requested from Rygar. And so that's what this is going to focus in on. So if you want to stick around for my thoughts about the UFO topic, well, welcome in everybody. And thanks for sticking around. Now, before we dive into the UFOs though, I do want to highlight 3 quick comments, just to continue to encourage you guys to live, these financial principles and these dreams that we're going to keep hammering home just to hopefully help you. Think about me as kind of a personal trainer who's done it. I don't have the physical 6-pack, but I'm working on it. And beyond the 6-pack though, like the financial, struggle that we all are in, and ideally that you can climb your way out of when you stop living outside your means, and stop letting credit cards steal your future, especially like if you got student loans still out there. So a couple things. Russian Bear says, hey man, how you doing? I found you from looking for Final Fantasy 14 controller guides, but I only started to really follow you after Final Fantasy 14's Xbox announcement. And I think you'd be happy to know that I've stayed because of your class dismissed topics. I love that you share your wisdom and your faith, and I plan on staying long after you finish covering Starfield. God bless and keep up the great work. Well, thank you, Russian Bear. Oros says, the financial advice is pretty spot on and it needs to be hammered into all, especially the younger folks. I wake up saving, investing, and getting out of debt in life because it's been on it just a few years, but now out of debt, and my savings is more than I've ever had in my life. I'm not well off since I started late, and I am 57 and planning to retire early, and I live off those savings, but till other benefits kick in, I'll live abroad where the money goes a lot further. This follows up by Virtuella says, same here. From 15 to 37, I spent all of my money partying and I didn't think about much of the future. I changed business's career and I started saving, and now I am hopefully can retire in like 5 years at 60. Wow, that's awesome. I wouldn't have missed out on my 22 years in my old line of work since it was a blast, but it was not so good for the long-term plans. The youth today need to save for their old age. No one is coming to help them, and if they don't get any money, and it's not going to get easier living on this planet. And that's what we're all going through. Like there's so many things I have to say no to, where I think my parents' generation, we were like, yeah, we'll just get a new car, we'll just do this, and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna sit here and I'm going to, what I always kind of view it as, what can I sacrifice so that my family won't have to sacrifice later. But guys, these are important things. My biggest concern, especially with the world of content creation, is a lot of people out there willing to like sacrifice having families and money just to barely be making it, or not making it at all, and then saying that they're making it. Like there's a lot of that in this quote unquote industry. And that's why for me, if I can help influence any of you guys to sit here and say, you know what, I got to get my act together, then all of this has been worth it. And so hopefully you guys can take on that challenge. Now let's talk about UFOs. Ragger says, I want to know what you think about the UFO topic. Do you or anyone have any stories? So while my grandparents were in the military, and I do have friends and family, especially in the Air Force, I don't have any personal connection to the UFOs, but like, God, that's what's going on here with these UFOs, right? Personally speaking, like when I look at this subject, it's more of what questions end up unfolding. Why is all of this happening now? Is this some giant psyops that's going on? Because literally, like these things are happening, and nobody's freaking out. One of the things that like you look back at like the movies and stuff, like we got to keep people in the dark because humanity can't process it, and then Congress is like, yeah, aliens exist, and there's all these UFOs, and we don't know what's going on, and yada yada yada. And everybody's like, all right, we kind of figured, like there's literally like, it's just like, all right, I guess I'll believe it when I see it. Like, how does that change the fact that inflation is at crazy high levels, and my dollar doesn't go any further than it can, and it used to be, and it feels like you're just barely making it. So it's just, for me, there's like a level of humor in that topic alone. But the bigger questions come into is like, what does this then would teach us about our universe, about for me as a Catholic, like how does Catholicism and UFOs align? And I don't think they're diametrically opposed at all. Like at the end of the day, like I still believe that there is a God of the universe, and the universe is wide and massive and expanding, so like from just a statistical odds perspective, yeah, there's probably life out there. But if there also isn't, what kind of wow, like how insane would that be to have this insane universe of just massive size and scale? And when we say life, like intelligent life, like us, people who think and reason and discuss, when we're not sucked into online cults that don't want you to talk about stuff or ask questions, just fall in line, don't ask questions. It's like, anyway, outside of that, humanity, we're flawed, but I love it for some reason. So what does that mean ultimately? And so for me, I really haven't seen like definitive evidence, but I don't need to, because it doesn't necessarily impact me one way or the other. It does make me say we should be amongst the stars. Starfield as a game should be our vision for humanity to reach for the unattainable, to strive. And it's in that reach for what we think is impossible or improbable that we surprise ourselves time and time again. Look how we communicate right now through this magical thing called the internet in video form and talking about these things. And it truly is like, magnificent. Somebody dared to think, hey, what if we did this? What if we tried that? So when it comes down to it though, it's gonna be interesting. It just doesn't feel like, especially now for me, that it is the biggest story in the world. I'm just really glad you guys asked me about it, because I clearly have thoughts. What does it mean for Christ's sacrifice on the cross? Especially, are there aliens? I would assume that would cover all of the universe in that regards from a theological perspective. But what if they too, also are Catholic or something of that nature? And what would that look like in the grand scheme of things? How would that change our perception of who we are in our relationship with God and with each other and with this planet? There's so many interesting questions that this, brings to the surface that I really haven't had too much time to chew on all that long, but I'm really glad for the question in and of itself, because it could, the possibilities right now are I think endless, and I can't wait to see what that means for us as a species and with our relationship with the wider universe. Does this then have us start investing actually more in exploring the known universe and into the wild beyond, which would be something I would be pro, that kind of exploration and more. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one, but until then, take care.